Okay, picture this. In a small town, a handful of people suddenly get sick with some mystery illness. No one knows why. So, where do you even begin to look for the cause? Well, it turns out medical detectives have a very specific playbook, and it all starts with one crucial move. And today, we're going to crack open that very first step.
And look, this isn't just some dry academic exercise. Think back to the early days of the AIDS epidemic, or when we first heard reports of a strange new virus. In those moments, filled with fear and so much uncertainty, this is the exact puzzle researchers are trying to solve. They have the tragic outcome, but the cause is a complete black box.
It's kind of like watching a movie backwards. You see the ending, the big car crash, but you've got to hit rewind, frame by frame, to figure out what actually led to it. With a new illness, researchers are starting right there, at the crash site. So the big question is, how on earth do they find that one critical moment, that one shared experience that set the whole thing in motion? Well, this is where a really clever research design called a case control study comes into play. And let me tell you, its entire success, pretty much everything, hinges on getting that very first step absolutely right. So let's see what you think that step is. All right, here are your options. So what's a first move? Do you start following a bunch of healthy people forward in time? Do you randomly give some people a special treatment? Or is it something else entirely? Take a look. And the answer, the absolute starting point, is B. Yep, that's the key. Before you do anything else, you have to define your two teams. You've got the people who are sick, we call them the cases, and a super carefully chosen group of people who are not sick, those are the controls. Seriously, that one decision is the foundation for the entire investigation. Okay, so you're probably wondering, why is this separation into cases and controls so important? Let's really break down what these terms mean, because understanding this dynamic is, well, it's the secret to the whole method. Think of it this way. The cases are the folks who just won the lottery. The controls are people from the exact same neighborhood who also bought tickets but didn't win. Now, the trick is to make the controls as similar as possible to the winners. Same age, same community. Why? Because it lets you filter out all the background noise. That way, if you find out all the winners ate at the same food truck the day before, you can be a lot more confident that's a real crew, not just some random coincidence. And this is where it gets really cool. You essentially become a time traveler. You start right here, in the present, with your two groups. Then you jump in your time machine and go backward, digging into their pasts with interviews and old records. You're hunting for that one clue, that single exposure. Maybe they all worked in the same building, that a whole lot more of the cases share than the controls. And when you find that, boom, that's your lead. Now, to really appreciate why this backward-looking approach is so unique, it really helps to look at what it isn't. By ruling out the other options from our little quiz, we can get a crystal clear picture of a case control study's specific superpower. Yeah, this is a great little cheat sheet. Notice how most of the other options are all about moving forward in time. A cohort study is like planting two different seeds and watching them grow for years. A randomized controlled trial is like giving one plant a special fertilizer to see what happens. But the case control study is totally different. It's like finding a fully grown, mysterious plant and having to work backward to figure out what kind of seed it came from. And hey, don't just take my word for it. Here's how one of the foundational textbooks on the subject by J.J. Schlesselman puts it. It's stated so simply, but that right there, that's the core principle that everything else is built on. The starting point defines the entire method. Okay, so we've established this method is all about starting at the end with the outcome. But you might be thinking, why go through all this trouble? Why not just track everyone and see what happens? Well, there are some really powerful real-world reasons why this backward-looking approach is sometimes the only way to solve a medical mystery. It really comes down to two things: speed and efficiency. I mean, imagine trying to study a disease that only affects one person in a million. A traditional forward-looking study would be a logistical and financial nightmare. But with a case control study, you get to leapfrog straight to the finish line. You find the handful of people who already have the disease and start your investigation right away. When a new virus is spreading, you don't have years to wait for data. You need answers now. So, the next time you hear about a mysterious outbreak, you'll know the very first thing researchers are doing. They're finding their cases and their controls. And then the real detective work begins. They have to figure out what questions to ask, what stones to unturn. And that's the ultimate puzzle, isn't it? Out of a person's entire lifetime of experiences, how do you find the one thing that truly matters?